Обнаружены вражеские торпеды. Защищаем точку. Цель поражена. Пожар на корабле. Уничтожили корабль противника. Отличная работа! Прицел активирован. Цель пробита. Наша команда близка к победе. Отличный выстрел. Цель серьезно повреждена. Наша команда близка к победе. Вражеский корабль уничтожен.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Warships Blitz with Terry. Today we are completing our Soviet battleship tech tree preview week, and we're looking at tier 6 at the Izmail. Now, the Izmail actually existed. Well, around about 60% of her. And she was a World War I vintage battlecruiser. This was the successor of the Gangut class. And we actually have a Gangut class battleship in the game at tier 5, the premium, the Oktyabrskaya Revolucja. This is the successor of that. And she was laid down, but then revolution happened and World War, and they didn't have the materials or the industry or anything like that to finish this ship. And in the end, in the interwar period, she ended up being scrapped. But the Izmail had some significant improvements over the Ganguts. First of all, the Soviets were under the impression that the Germans had started using 356mm guns, so she's upgunned. And they did a lot of experimenting with the armor on the Ganguts and figured out some weaknesses that were rectified in the Borodino class, later renamed to Izmail class because she was the one who was actually mostly completed at the time. Right, so tier 6, what do we got? We have, again, actually, I mean, this was supposed to be a battle cruiser. They were meant to do the crossing the T thing that the Japanese had done to the Soviets to the Russian Empire in the Russo-Japanese War. They didn't like that very much, so they wanted to do it as well. We have a reasonable amount of armor. We have a good hit point pool. She is, for a tier 6 ship, actually pretty quick with 27 knots. She is a little bit more maneuverable than her successors, but still not greatly so. So again, this is not a ship that likes to turn around corners very much. As I mentioned, she's got 356mm guns, and the layout is a little bit questionable. And you kind of see this, it's the same layout that you had on the Oktyabrskaya, formerly known as Gangut. She doesn't have super firing turrets. That's because the Russian designers at the time didn't believe in super firing turrets. They would rather spread out the magazines, and they believed that it would help preventing catastrophic powder magazine explosions and things like that. So anyway, that means we've got an A turret facing forward, and we've got a B turret which sits behind the first bit of the superstructure. then we've got the funnel, then we've got another turret, and then one in the rear. Now this obviously has some drawbacks, which means you can't go bow in this ship, at least not without having 3/4 of your firepower, not being able to shoot at anything. Also, the turrets, the center turrets are pointing rearwards, as you can see, so they need to swing around that way if you need to get them on the other side, which means that this ship's actually better at kiting if you want to swing the turrets around than at sailing forwards. So that's something to keep in mind with this gun layout. Anyway, we were looking at the guns, the 356 mils. They're good guns. They've got pretty good stats on them. The reload isn't the quickest. And she gets a flurry of 130mm secondaries. These are the manual secondaries, the single casemate sort of things. We don't have any auto secondaries here, and she, for a tier 6 ship, has a decent anti-aircraft armament, really. You can't complain there. And again, the surface detection is pretty dreadful, but then again, you're in a battleship. The turrets are relatively sturdy, unlike the tier 7, where I got them shot off all the time. So I actually have the reload module in, which means I can get a couple more hit points and just general more things. She gets, as a ship skill, the precise aiming 2, a tier 6, which is interesting. This is not usually a skill you see that early, outside premium ships maybe. But at the end of the day, it doesn't make that much of a difference. I think the power here comes from the fact that she has 12 guns and these 4 triple turrets. So setup-wise, I actually have the same setup here as I have in tier 8. I have the main battery mod 2 in the first slot because the turrets, again, relatively sturdy, don't get shot off that easily, and get the reload done a little bit because the reload is on the long side. I can't get the fire prevention in tier 6, so I've got the damage control system mod and steering in third slot, which gets us defense-wise to 16.5% fire flooding resistance, which isn't terrible for a tier 6 battleship, I think. I can't remember what New Mexico gets, but it's okay. It's okay, let me put it that way. So, commander. Again, you would build this commander going forward. I've put a level 6 commander in because it's a tier 6 ship. So we are not actually having the marksman skill, which means we don't get 2 salvos off with the precise aiming active. As you know, if you've seen the previous videos, I'm kind of bouncing between artillery maintenance and the high alert because, again, she gets 4 damage cons. But I think they're both viable choices, really. And still, even if you just have 4 damage cons, you don't want to use it on single fires. Yeah, so obviously the marksman skill would be the next one that you'd actually be picking. What else? What else have we looked at? The camo. If you are so inclined, historical camouflage gives you the typical things: ship hit points, range, dispersion, and torpedo damage reduction. This is a fun ship. I'm going to tell you why. Because it's A, a tier 6 ship, and B, it has lots and lots of guns. And these guns are fun. These guns are punchy. They are... the dispersion can be a little bit all over the place, but it doesn't matter because you've got so many of them. And yeah, and it's a tier 6 ship, so you get the enemy team doing stupid things occasionally, which always makes it fun. So without further ado, let's get going. And we're playing on Trident in a top tier game. There's actually a failed platoon in the enemy team. There's a König teamed up with an Ishizuchi, a tier 4 Japanese battleship. So my commiseration to them. But we'll see how this goes. Only 1 destroyer, a Farragut, and 1 cruiser, the Trento. Now, domination means, well, we're going to head over to A Cup. And we're going to have to kind of wait and see where the destroyer is. I'm not super scared of destroyers in this ship, because I have a lot of guns, and even if I don't have the AP ready, if I don't have the HE ready, I can still do a decent amount of damage with the armor piercing. So we head over to A and see how many enemy ships are going to show up there. Now, again, these are Soviet or Russian guns in this case. And they can be a bit trollish, especially at very close ranges where the very flat arcs are playing against you. But at mid-long range, especially like at mid-range, the dispersion isn't that great in the ship, but at mid-range, she can do very, very well. So, Furotaka, where are you going? You're sneaky. There's only one destroyer in the enemy team. Would you mind going? No, you're not going in the cup, are you? Okay. No, Furotaka's not going in the cup. Okay, so we'll see. We'll sneak up on the car. Yeah, he's torpedoing someone. Okay. Well, there's a König, but I don't think these torpedoes are going to have range, even if they were aimed at the ship. Which they weren't, because the König wasn't even spotted by then. But we are spotted, and there's also New Mexico, so 8 kilometer might be a decent range, 7 kilometers. So let's start opening up, and just kind of slowly... and there are 2 more battleships coming, so they can take care of the capture circle at this point. I just want to make sure I'm not getting blapped in it by anything. Okay, broadsiding Trento is firing at us. So let's see if we can punish that. It looks like the New Mexico is shooting at someone else. So that's good news. Which means I can slowly start inching forward. But first let's see if we can do anything against the Trento. There was a Farragut, I think he's on the other side of the island. The Furotaka is still trying to torpedo someone. And the Farragut is over there, so it's not a problem. Yes, the New Mexico sitting still. And the König is straight ahead, and I'm angled against the König, and I think the New Mexico is not shooting at me. So, yep, there's the Farragut again. And he seems to be kind of not coming my way, so that's good news. We're sitting in the cup. Most of our team seems to be over here at this point. And it looks like the enemy team is starting to disengage on this side, which makes sense because they're in understrength. So, firing up the engines, let's go and chase after them. Now, the thing is, in the Izmail, you're actually pretty quick. And things like a New Mexico will have a hard time running away from you. Farragut is not interested in us, and there are enough battleships for him to torpedo, so I'm just going to ignore him for now and keep shooting at the New Mexico while I'm chasing after the König. Now we are 1 ship down. We lost one of our cruisers somewhere. And you see this at this range? You can get really decent hits with slightly plunging fire against battleships, that is. Okay, New Mexico starting to get a little bit away from me here. Let's try. I'm gonna use another precise aim, and let's see how much I get done at this point. But he's actively maneuvering. We're 2 ships down. We do hold all 3 cap circles though, which is good. So the Farragut is not doing destroy everything and actually capturing the caps. And I'm almost whittling the New Mexico down. Oh, but there's a Trento again. Broadsiding. So let's see if we can do something about it this time. At this range, against a maneuvering cruiser, it's going to be a little tricky. At closer range, this is much more dangerous, but we do get a couple of good hits in at this point. And I'm just chasing after the... Okay, we're 2 ships down, but the New Mexico and the König are on relatively low health. I'm just going to see that I can do as much as possible against the Trento, because it looks like 2 of our battleships are kind of following me around here. And with 3 ships down to 1 ship at this point, so I'm trying to take as much health off the Trento as possible to give the Furotaka over there a fighting chance, because he's the only one who's going to go up against him. But, yeah, we're behind in points at this point. We've lost 2 caps, so we do need to kill something. So let's start with the König, tier 5 German battleship, 7 kilometers, shots out. And the dispersion is nice. And you can get really good hits in at this range. So that guy should not live for very much longer. And I don't think he has much of a chance going up against me. Another salvo, 6 kilometer, getting a little close here, but yeah, with the shots are starting to be a little bit more meh, because I'm getting too close. But I do need to keep going this way, because we are still on 2 caps, and while we're still 1 ship behind. Now I can do something about this. It looks like the Furotaka is playing with a destroyer back there, which is good news. The 2 battleships behind me are reasonably useless at this point, but that's the end of the König, so we've got that one down, which evens us out on ships and puts us ahead on points. Now, if the Furotaka could kill the destroyer, that'd be great. Okay, New Mexico. This thing needs to die, because while we're ahead on points, we're still 2 caps behind, and if the Furotaka dies, then things look very, very different in a minute. So, New Mexico, you need to die. Okay, everyone. You guys should be in range of the New Mexico by now. So, would you mind? Please shoot at that thing. Okay, there's a full health New Mexico and the Ichizuchi that we talked about earlier. So that guy's on low health, so he needs to die first. Because we are only... the Furutaka, I'm still not sure. He hasn't killed the destroyer, so... let's see how that duel turns out, but that should be the end of the New Mexico. Yep, there he goes. Okay, now we're a ship ahead, even with the caps down. Okay, that New Mexico is behind. Now let's brawl the Ichizuchi. Now remember, this is a tier 4 Japanese battleship. Japanese battleships are not known for having the greatest armor in the first place. And I'm in a tier 6, but I am at very close range. And this is kind of what happens when you're at close range. There he is. Okay, 4.7 kilometers, guns out. Nothing much happens really. Mostly semi-pens is what happens. And that is mildly disappointing. But again, this is the... And I'm aiming relatively high. I'm almost aiming at the superstructure at this point. Look at this. I'm aiming kind of like at the line here between. But most of the shots are going straight into the belt armor. And they're not getting through. So, at range, at mid to long range, these guns are great. You can Citadel American battleships on this, but at close range, they don't really work that well. And this is a problem I've had with most of the Soviet guns. Let's see if we can take this guy down still. Oh, come on. He's on almost no health. Come on, secondaries. Go secondaries. Come on, reload. Oh, I think I was robbed. But I can't complain. I did how much all in all? Let's see. But we did win in the end, even though it did come somewhat close here. And we got 101,000 points of damage and 2 kills. So, yeah, the Ichizuchi survived. So I was robbed of that kill. But yeah, that's what you can do in the Izmail. The guns are... Don't get me wrong, the guns are good. And I really like the guns. But they shine at mid to long range. So like somewhere like around 7, 8, 9 kilometers, that's where they really shine. When they come in a little bit from the top, and they're still punchy enough to get through deck armors and core citadels. And at extreme ranges, you're gonna have a bit of even with the precise aiming, you're gonna have a little bit of trouble actually hitting anything. And at very close ranges, it can be a different story as well. So that's that. Fun ship. And this concludes our Soviet battleship week. I wish you all a good weekend, and I'll see you on Monday, probably with more battleships. Because, just a small spoiler, I've been purchasing the Odin on my personal account. And for a good reason. Anyway, see you all. Have a good one. Bye.